Just me?
Apologies for the slight delay, everybody. Before we get underway, I just wanted to make you aware that the French Football Federation have made us aware in the last hour of their plans to pay tribute to the victims of the Manchester and London terror attacks. In keeping in the spirit of the commemorations at Wembley Stadium in November 2015, they will display the words of our national anthem on their big screens, God Save the Queen, and obviously encourage both sets of supporters to sing that. Separately to that, the band and choir of the Republic Guard will perform Oasis' song Don't Look Back in Anger, which of course was something of an anthem of unity for the people of Manchester. As well as that, there'll be a mixed team shot as well, and of course a minute's silence before kick-off. My colleague Stéphane is here from the French Football Federation, so if there is any questions afterwards, then feel free to direct them towards him. We'll also allow Jacques, our interpreter, to just relay that back to our friends from France.
Bonjour à toutes et à tous, désolé pour ce petit retard. Juste pour vous annoncer un communiqué de presse de la Fédération française de football. Alors, en mémoire des victimes des attentats de Londres et de Manchester, à l'occasion du match international France-Angleterre prévu demain au stade, il y aura l'hymne anglais qui sera joué après l'hymne français, et puis les joueurs rentreront sur le stade en écoutant la chanson d'Oasis, Don't Look Back in Anger. Tout ceci se fera donc dans la droite lignée de ce qui s'est fait à Wimbledon après les attaques de novembre 2015. Et ensuite, les équipes se rejoigneront pour faire une photo commune après le match.
Okay, thank you very much. And just a quick one on the format of today's press conference. We'll do the first section in English, and then towards the end there'll be an opportunity for some questions in French. So without further ado, Carver, when you're ready.
Gareth, we hear a lot about how young English players are not maybe as technically gifted as South American players and other European players. Do you think what the under-20 team achieved yesterday proves that that is no longer the case?
Yeah, I think not only what the under-20s did, but watching our youth teams at every age level. We a couple of years ago we made a big decision to improve the games programme to give our younger teams better experience of playing teams from around the world. So at the time it was a bit controversial. At under 16 level we only ever played the Victory Shield, which was Ireland, Scotland, Wales. But we felt that it was important that those sorts of games are the types of games that our kids get every week at their clubs. And we needed to go and play the likes of Brazil, the likes of Mexico, Argentina. So this group that won last week, in the last year, they went out to Mexico last summer. And they ended up playing Mexico in the quarter-final this time. They'd been out to Korea a couple of months ago to get a feel of playing in that environment. So I think we've managed to expose them to a good quality games programme, and when that's been going on, we've been able to see that they are at that level. There is very little between the teams. So I think that's helped any possible inferiority complex. When I was a senior player playing against Brazil, it was the first experience I'd ever had of running out against them. And I think now our younger players are used to playing against these other guys. They have more confidence, and now that they've won a trophy of this significance, then I think not only does that give them belief, but it means that there's a benchmark set for those that follow. They've got everybody that follows has to step up and has to try and strive to reach those levels.
Is the next step to make sure that they get more opportunities to play for their clubs, and how can you make that happen?
Yeah, of course, that's the big challenge. A lot of these lads have dipped their toes in the water at first team level. Part of that responsibility is over to them. What are they going to do next? You can never stand still as a young player. There's always another challenge for you. Equally, I think when you win a tournament like that, it shows everybody that we've got good young players, and without an opportunity to go and show that at first team level, then it's very difficult for them to progress.
Turning to tomorrow night's game, you said that you would have a look again at the two goals that you conceded on Saturday. Looking back at them again, do you feel that Joe Hart was at fault for either of those two goals, or was it there wasn't much he could do? They were just great free kicks.
Well, I think first and foremost they were definitely great free kicks. Beyond that, coaching conversations I have with players remain private. You know, I think if I go that route with anybody, then I don't think that's the right thing to do. You know, so we've had lots of discussion as a team around what we did well in that game, what we could improve upon. I would go back to the concession of free kicks being the start point. You know, if we're going to manage games, then we've got to think about avoiding conceding free kicks in dangerous areas first and foremost. So there's many areas that we could have done better. You know, it's important we always review games because the initial response at the very end is great to come back, but we all recognise that that's a game we wanted to win. We want to play at a better level than we did during the afternoon. We need to move the ball more quickly, and we need to manage games a little bit better. You know, be a bit more patient in possession through matches as well. So, lots of room for improvement, but that's no surprise. You know, we're in the early stages of asking the team to play in a certain way and developing tactical system, and there's a long path ahead for us.
And as tomorrow's game is a friendly and it's the final game of the season, it will be a good chance maybe to start with a different goalkeeper, to have a look at somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely. I said on Saturday, it was never my intention to play Joe in this game. So Tom Heaton will start the game, and Jack Butland will play the second half. For different reasons, Tom's had an outstanding season. We've got to maintain the squad environment, that people feel involved, that goalkeeping situation you need to give players opportunity, game time. I think in the past, one or two goalkeepers have sort of given up international football because they've not had that chance, and so I'm conscious of keeping people involved. Equally, Jack is coming back from a long layoff, was the number 2 before that, hasn't had the amount of game time perhaps up to now, but you know, we think can also challenge for the number 1 slot moving forward. So we've got good competition for places. It's a great opportunity to look at people. It's a difficult call on Fraser, who also is a very good goalkeeper. But with those 4 and Jordan Pickford, and then a couple of lads coming up potentially from the Championship next year, you know, we're healthy. Like in all positions, we want competition for places.
Is it also a good opportunity to look at Ben Gibson and Kieran Trippier?
Well, I think we want to. This is a bit like the game in Germany, where you want to come out of a friendly having learnt things from the game, and there's no point in not having a look at some players, putting them into the environment that you want to test them in, whether that's from the beginning or from the bench. So it is an opportunity, but also we want to be competitive in the game. You know, we want to make sure that. We're going there. There's no game we go into that we don't want to win. So we want to get the structure of the team right, the balance of the team right, and make sure that we're having a really good go at France tomorrow night.
Do you know who's going to be your captain tomorrow night?
Yeah, Harry will captain the team. It's probably a similar scenario to October, where Jordan Henderson captained the team in the first game and was starting the second. So. Made sense to keep it as it was. That's the same with Harry this time.
Does that mean that he's in pole position to be the permanent captain? Should we read anything into that?
No, that means that it's the same as October, that Jordan started the first game as captain, and the same scenario. So. And
the decision on the permanent captain, is that likely to be after the summer?
Yeah, I'm not committing to a timescale on that. I think that I go back to it's been good experience to develop other leaders. We're seeing that not only in terms of responsibility, but the way the group are prepared to contribute when we're discussing games, when we're reviewing games. There's lots of potential leaders in different ways. Some are at the forefront, speak first, lead from the front in different ways. Others more thoughtful, take responsibility on the ball. show leadership in other ways. Everybody's different, so yeah. But I'm not in a rush to make that decision. I think at some point it's probably something we should do. In fact, I'm certain it's something we should do. But I think it's been good to devolve the leadership.
Just a final question from me about France. They have so many great players. One of the players everyone's going to be looking out for tomorrow night is going to be Kylian Mbappe, who may well start. What have you made of the way he's exploded onto the football scene?
Well, you're right. They have, I would say, of all the countries that we've played at youth level, France, for us, have been the most impressive in terms of the depth of talent, the athletic profile of the players. We've found at various levels they've caused us as many problems as any other country. So there seems to be they obviously won the 20s World Cup not so long ago. And he is one of many young players. And of course, their league is different to ours. Their league is a better opportunity at the moment for young players to go in and play regularly, get European football as well. So he's had an excellent season. We've seen him in the Champions League, of course, and is an indication of the depth of talent that they have.
Can you understand all the hype surrounding him? I mean, for instance, do you think any player in the world is worth 135 million euros?
Well, he's only worth that if he comes to England, I expect, or he goes to Real Madrid or Barcelona, isn't he? The market is what it is. We have a league that is rich in terms of resource, so prices are affected. The price to a Premier League club is different to the price going somewhere else other than the two big clubs in Spain, I suspect. So impossible. It's like a house. You sell your house, it's worth what somebody's prepared to pay in the end.
Great, thanks.
Gareth, you mentioned at the weekend you were already starting to prepare for Russia. What in terms of breaking this cycle of easy qualification, then underperformance at a tournament, have you identified that has to be better?
Well, I think, again, as I mentioned about the younger teams, quality of the games programme. So we're picking friendlies from here on forward against the very best possible teams. I think we have to test ourselves against the very best to measure where we are. Test the players with and without the ball against top players. The qualification will provide tests in other ways. Saturday was a unique environment. Different style of game, of course, but one where you've got to handle pressure in other ways. So we learn in different ways through that. But we've got to be thinking about how we win those matches, but also develop for the mid and long term as well.
What about being at a tournament, do you think needs to be better?
Well, my opinion is it's not about being in a tournament, it's about being able to perform under pressure in big matches. And it's not about being able to handle living in a hotel for a month. I think there's a myth about that being a problem. It's about playing against the best teams under pressure. So tactically, we've got to keep improving. We've got to have a clear identity of how we want to play. And in those, big moments, we've got to make good decisions on the field.
What should the Under-20s World Cup win represent for this team?
Well, it's another sign of belief. We've got some excellent players who have a lot of potential. Alex, obviously sat alongside me, has some fantastic experiences already at international level and at club level. Has won trophies already. So the more that you're in those big matches, the better. But I think once momentum builds and as a country we start winning things, then every age group starts to say, well, why not us? What's different about that age group compared to the others? My observations on the under-20s are not only their technical ability, but they've got real mental resilience as a group, have had since they were under-17s. So, but we can have that in other age groups for certain.
And a year out from the World Cup, what's the challenge for any player who wants to help the senior team win a World Cup?
Well, I think to be playing well with your club, to be displaying the attributes we want. We need players that not only are technically gifted, but are mentally tough. You know, one of the things I've seen about Alex this year with Arsenal, in the moments where the team have struggled, his mentality has been outstanding. He's the one that has continued to work for the team, never given up. He's the one that, when it's required somebody to speak to the press at the end of the game in a difficult moment, has fronted up, has shown responsibility. So that tells me a lot about somebody's character when you see them in those moments. And I think we need strong character to be successful at the highest level. We need technically good players, of course, but we have that. So then there are other criteria in terms of physical capabilities and psychological capabilities that become important.
One then for Alex, just on the basis of what signs of progress have you seen under Gareth?
Well, I think you heard him say there we need a clear identity on the way we want to go forward, and I think for me in all the squads that I've been in, this has been the one that we've really tried to focus on that and try and get a real clear understanding of how we want to play and how we want to behave between each other on and off the pitch, and you know, really getting that togetherness. And I think we've got a really good opportunity with this squad, with it being so young. With a few really good characters that are more senior as well, we've got a really good chance to build something special from this moment moving forward. So, for me, that's been the most positive step forward, definitely.
Gareth, do you have questions for Alex?
Alex, you obviously know a few of the players in the France squad. What kind of challenge do you think it will be tomorrow night? And do you think it's fair to describe France as one of the best teams in the world?
Yeah, I think you'd have to say that. You know, they made it to the final not too long ago, so you know they've got great players all the way through their squad. If you look at their team and their depth of the French team, it's they're not short for players in any position. So they're definitely one of the best teams in the world, and you know that's exciting to go and play against. We want to play against the best teams, as the manager just said. Even in the friendly games, it is a friendly, but it's against a great French team and one that we're looking forward to the challenge. So it'll be a tough game, but one I'm definitely looking forward to, and I'm sure the rest of the boys are as well.
This is the first chance we've had to speak to you since Arsene Wenger signed a new Arsenal contract. How good is it from a player's perspective that has all been sorted and put to bed?
Yeah, look, I appreciate you've got to ask that question. But you know, I'm sat next to my England manager here, so you know I want to keep the focus fully on England, and you know to bring any other distractions into this, I think it would be wrong. We've got a big game tomorrow, and that's the only thing that we should be talking about. So if you want to talk to me about Gareth, I'm more than happy to speak about him. How does he
compare to Arsene as a manager?
Now you're in trouble.
Yeah, he's obviously they're different managers. Gareth's a lot younger. That's I think is the main, most obvious difference. But no, they're both great managers, and you know Gareth's obviously really well connected, especially with the younger players. I guess that's similar to Arsene as well. Really like to work with young players, and clearly he, just like Arsene, gives the young players a chance and gives them the platform to go on and hopefully do good things. So they've got their differences for sure, but you know they're both similar in certain aspects as well.
If that's all the questions from the English media, do we have any questions in French? If I say gentleman in the white shirt.
What do you think about the installation here in Croatia?
The facility here?
Yeah, here in Croatia.
Yeah, excellent, very good. Both in terms of the warmth of the welcome from the people, but the facility itself. Obviously, we chose to come here for that reason. We could see, we knew Russia stayed here last summer, but for us it was a great option to come for the game at the Stade de France, so we're really pleased with it.
Question. Que pensez-vous des infrastructures? Réponse, nous pensons qu'elles sont vraiment excellentes. Les gens ici nous accueillent bien. Et puis ici, c'est vraiment une très bonne occasion de se préparer pour le match au Stade de France de demain.
En français, habituellement en sport, les Français et les Anglais sont les meilleurs ennemis communs. Il va y avoir un hommage avant le match qui est prévu à Wembley. C'est important d'envoyer ce message aussi, de montrer finalement, c'est important de montrer ce message d'union, de solidarité entre les Français et les Anglais.
Question. Usually the French and the English are like the best enemies, but tomorrow in France, will it be left aside since there will be this tribute for the victims of the terrorist attacks, as was done in Wembley?
I was at the match at Wembley, and that was a very special occasion, and we're very grateful to the French for offering this tribute to England as a country. So it's nice that the history between us doesn't come between us at those moments.
Oui, moi j'étais là lors du match à Wembley et aujourd'hui je suis content de savoir que les Français vont nous rendre l'appareil. C'est un honneur pour nous Anglais, de voir cela, que notre rivalité ne s'arrête pas là, mais que nous avons également une histoire d'amitié.
Le football est une fête et aussi le football est un symbole. Est-ce que vous ressentez cette atmosphère de sécurité de plus en plus présente à chacun des matchs?
So, question, there are threats obviously, but concretely, do you feel there are more and more security measures each time you come for matches, whether at the hotel or here at these venues?
To be honest, it's the same for us in England. So the whole world is on alert now for potential attacks, and we have to live with that day to day, but we have to go about our work, and we feel very comfortable with the security people around us. We have great faith in our security people and the way that we've been looked after by the French people. So we go about our work.
Alors, très honnêtement, ici en Angleterre, c'est pareil. Nous devons tous garder l'œil ouvert, mais nous nous sentons vraiment très à l'aise avec les gens de la sécurité et nous n'avons qu'à continuer à faire ce que nous faisons de mieux, continuer à vivre au jour le jour.
Hi, here Gareth. You spoke about the goalkeepers. How much are you going to rotate the squad tomorrow?
We will make some changes because it's important for us to have a look at some players that deserve their opportunity to play, and we're still working out what our best team will be. So there's real competition. So I'm not certain that we're weaker by making changes tomorrow, but it's a good opportunity for some players to come into the side and show what they can do.
Question, alors vous avez mentionné l'équipe de demain, est-ce que vous savez à quoi elle va correspondre? Réponse, eh bien à vrai dire il y aura quelques changements parce que tous les joueurs doivent avoir l'occasion de jouer un peu, mais il y aura peut-être quelques changements, comme je vous l'ai dit, parce que justement tout le monde doit avoir l'occasion de jouer.
Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain a demandé hier aux supporters français de chanter et de montrer ce film. Il en est
Merci. Blaise Matuidi a demandé hier en conférence de presse que les supporters français chantent le God Save the Queen, l'hymne anglais au Stade de France demain soir, comme les Anglais l'avaient fait en novembre 2015 pour la Marseillaise. Qu'est-ce que Oxlade-Chamberlain et le sélectionneur pensent de cette initiative et quelle atmosphère ils attendent demain soir au stade?
So Blaise Matuidi asked during a press conference yesterday if the French could sing God Save the Queen just as the English sang the Marseillaise back then. So what do you think about that, and what do you expect for tomorrow's match and ambiance at the Stade de France?
Look, that's that would be nice, but it's not essential. We wanted to support France in the match following the attack in Paris, but equally, if people don't feel comfortable singing our anthem, no problem, we understand. So we feel that there's been a lot of respect shown towards us as a country.
Alors je pense que ce serait une bonne initiative. Pardon?
What the manager said.